What's up, everybody? How you guys doing today? Check it out, it's Friday. I hope you guys are hype. But listen. Today I got something quick, something quick, short, simple, sweet, to the point. It was actually a question that came in, or a topic idea that came in, um, and it's actually how much outreach before I go to jail. And this is a funny topic because, man, it's serious because your ass will go to social media jail quick as hell if you start blasting out those numbers way too quick. You get those trigger fingers on your phone and you're like, man, I'm going to reach out to everybody. And then next thing you know, wow, restricted. So it's honestly one of the worst things to see when you're running outreach, especially if you only have like one account per social media channel, like most of us do. So it's very important to kind of stay like, not like cautious or like too crazy over outreach numbers, but at the same time you don't want to get too crazy with it. You want to leverage any sort of notification that the social media channels are giving you, as far as anything that is like telling you like, hey, you better stop this or you're gonna go to social media jail. So when you see that, just give it a breather, 24 hours or so, come back, and you can resume as you were doing previously. But yeah, so just to cover some different topics, as far as like the different channels. So with Instagram specifically, um, we're looking at about like 25 outreaches per day. So 25 like like follows and DMs, through the day, or whatever your outreach method is on Instagram. 25 per day. For example, like we talk about like the 3-2-1 method. If like you're going to be rocking with the 3-2-1 method, then like I said, no more than 25 per day. And keep in mind like how many you're doing per hour too, because that's another thing, is it's showing like repetitive action over and over and over again. Like that's what's going to put you in social media jail, is when you start showing like those repetitive actions over and over and over. It's not human like. And that's the biggest way that these social media channels pick it up, is because it's not human like. Like it's not normal for somebody to go on to Instagram or something and message 100 people. It's just not normal, especially when it's the same message. So you got to be like cautious about like your, not only like the numbers but also the type of outreach too. Like one thing that I've noticed is if you're like copying pasting like the same message over and over and over, that's much more likely to get triggered before like if you're typing out a different message, or if you're sending out like a voice note over and over. So things like that are going to show repetition. It's going to show inhuman like actions when you're doing the same actions over and over and over, just multiple times in a row. So the one thing that we like tell our outreach team is like, hey, no more than like 5 outreaches per hour per account. And then like overall, like we're not really trying to exceed 25 per day. Now you can like push it when it comes to like Instagram and Facebook. Like we've gotten to upwards of 40 outreaches per day. But what we've noticed is over a 7-day time period, like sometimes we'll get like the action blocks towards the end of the week. So that's another thing. So the thing is, like when it comes to outreach in general, like outreach numbers, you got to like really think about like the fact that it could be like not only daily but hourly, and it could also be like weekly and monthly. So there's multiple different ways that like the outreach numbers can impact each other. So like I said, like if you're doing 25 to 40 per day for the course of a week, like you're much more likely to get like those types of restrictions or blocks like on day 5 or 6. So one thing that we recommend is, like run it, 25 outreaches per day, Monday through Friday, take the weekend off, let your account, take a breath, and then come back on Monday and continue in the same process. So like I said, the key number, I would say for Facebook and Instagram is aim for 25 per day, no more than like 5 per hour, like 3 to 5 per hour. And then, like I said, like don't like try not to show repetition, like show like, that you're a human and you send like human like, interactions. And so that's basically like Instagram or Facebook. If you guys have like more questions about that, then you can let me know. I can try and go in a little bit more detail about this, but at the same time, like these aren't like things that like the social media channels tell us. These are just like assumptions that we come up with when we receive these blocks. You know, you can really just look at it and be like, oh shit, you know, I got blocked today, so let me go back and see what I did and try not to do that same thing in the future. So like I said, Facebook and Instagram, 25 per day maximum. I would say like 5 days, you know, in a row maximum. Try and give, you know, some breather days, maybe even in between, you know, like do it one day on, one day off, or one day on Facebook, the next day on Instagram, Facebook, Instagram, things like that. You can alternate, like you can get, you know, cheeky when it comes to alternating and trying to stay off the radar of these platforms. But going into LinkedIn, so LinkedIn's gotten a little bit different with us here recently. They recently put in like a limit to where you can only send out like 100 invite like connection requests per week. So obviously, like we used to be able to do 100 per day, and now it's only 100 per week. So you know, there's all different types of things that come into a play. But one thing with LinkedIn is they don't like any type of like automation. So if you're using softwares, things like that, you really have to pay attention to these types of numbers, because it's going to trigger restrictions to your account, and you don't want to be restricted on LinkedIn, because it's not like a temporary thing, it's a permanent thing. And so basically what happens on LinkedIn is we've narrowed it down to where you can execute like 150 actions per day on the account, while at the same time staying on their radar, or staying off their radar. You don't want to be on their radar, stay off of it. So 150 actions per day, but like I said, you can only do 100 invites per week. So those actions have to be a mixture of, you know, like messages, you know, follow-up messages, you know, things like that. So you can effectively maximize the 150 actions per day, but at the same time staying underneath of the 100 invites or connection requests per week. So just to recap, IG, you know, 25 to 40 per day, maximum no more than like 3 to 5 per hour. And then on a you know, week-long time period, you know, you don't want to do the same thing every day for 7 days. You know, cut it out like 5 days or so, or throw on like some sort of, you know, something that's going to be some sort of inconsistency along the way. So operate Monday on Facebook, you know, Tuesday on LinkedIn, things like that. You know, switch between the accounts, especially if you're doing it manually. This will help you with your time as well, but at the same time maximizing the outreach. So IG 25 to 40 per day, like I said, no more than 3 to 5 per hour. And then I would say like no more than like, you know, 100 to 125 per week. Same thing with Facebook, you know, 25 to 40 per day, no more than like 3 to 5 per hour. And then no more than like 125 outreaches per week. And then LinkedIn, you can only do 100 invites per week, but you can do a mixture of 150 actions per day. So, like I said, you know, rewind it back, listen to some of the other like strategies that I brought up with this, as far as like maximizing the overall like amount of interactions, while, you know, staying out of the radar of these like social media platforms as far as their restrictions. I mean, keep in mind, like if you ever do run into a situation where you do become restricted, then just focus on follow-ups, you know, like just focus on hitting the people that were interested in your services at one point. And then just reconnect with them. You never know, like times change, people change. Sometimes, you know, like on the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th follow-up, that's when we close our deals. You know, it's not always the first outreach that where we're hitting home runs, you know. So keep that in mind when you're doing your outreach. And yeah, I hope this helped you out here. Like I said, you know, go ahead and rewind if you have any comments, questions, concerns, anything specific about like these outreach methods, and like the specific numbers, then feel free to drop a comment below, shoot me a DM, do whatever you need to get in touch with me, and I'll be happy to help you out. But that should help you out as far as like a general basis as to what you want to aim for, and what you want to stay under, so you can avoid like any type of restrictions. So with that being said, I hope you guys got some value there, and we'll catch you on the next one. Adios.